Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated, still recovering from the death of High King Cronon in the last episode. It came completely as a surprise. I imagine it was all the stress that he had been under for decades pretty much prior to that point in time. I can't imagine it had a great effect on his health. And when Uladh came to power, I kept talking about our planned expansions into Wales, completely forgetting that those expansions were dependent on Cronon's vassalization casus belli. So that is now gone. We could continue our conquests in this region. If we take a look at the ruler of Gwynedd, we can declare war for Duke Cain's claims. And if we look at what he has a claim to, pretty much everything. We could take the entire duchy, or we could take 2 counties for him. The problem is that Cain is already a powerful vassal who hates us, and he is on the verge of forming a dangerous faction to come after us. So he's just below the threshold, and we are looking at an ultimatum being pushed at any point in time by a peasant rabble. So we're going to be dealing with some internal dissent, opposition to our rule in the next couple of minutes. If these guys do enough damage to us, it could put Cain in a position where he could launch his independence bid as well. So we're going to have to watch out and maybe bring in that Carling alliance that we established in the last episode. And I think it was also in the last episode that we got a pop-up that the court in Scotland had started using the Goidelic language. And I was trying to figure out what other language would they have been using. Of course, they are Scots culture, so they would have been using an Anglic language. And I went to check what the courts looked like. And we have the Irish court is using Goidelic. The Scottish court is using Goidelic. Down there in the corner, the Croatian court is using Goidelic. I can understand all of those. Norway. Why is Norway using Goidelic? I am not sure. It could be. I don't know when they started using it. It might be because if they have close ties to the Scottish court. Maybe that's it. But the fact that so many places, we're in third position. The third best court using the Goidelic language. So we're getting a nice chunk of court grandeur as a result of that. So that's helpful at the very least. So there is the marriage that we proposed in the last episode between our mother and the mayor of Carrickfergus. Basically just to get her out of the house. And I have also sent some members of my family to be educated. Of course, Cronon was educating one of his sons. So that'd be our brother or half-brother. I have now sent him to a family member in the court in Ormond. So a member of our family who's in his court. That was Gilla Cullum, I think, who has high stewardship. Now we're getting some pop-ups about affairs in England. I should have said that was Gilla Cullum who has high diplomacy. So that's why our father was educating them, and we've sent them to Munster. But the King of England and Duke of Brittany has lost an independence war against Northumbria. Northumbria appears to still be where it's always been. We'll see if anything changes. He is losing another war to end his tyranny, and what might happen in that case is that this random man might become the new king. And now that Scotland has adopted Goidelic as its court language, its great poets have began writing in that language, including its king, Stephen, who has written a poem which deals with success and growing greatness and has dedicated it to Uladh, the axe of Ireland. Though conflict brings wrath to all someday, none are as so blighted as this hero's prey. So let none challenge his bold intent, lest they discover where the last challenger went. My God. It is absolutely brilliant. It sounds better in Irish. Trust me, it sounds better in Irish. We have kind of bizarre options. We could do a diplomacy challenge, which gives us a 46% chance to gain 20 opinion with King Stephen and gain 75 prestige. Or we can definitely gain 20 opinion with King Stephen and gain 75 prestige. So this would be actually if we wanted to lose opinion with him. No, we will definitely need to keep some of our neighbours on side. We'll come over to this side of the world as well and we'll do a few things. First of all, we'll visit our good friend, our father's good friend, the Pope. Plus 7 opinion. We're going to lose 20 opinion. He is, however, 81 years of age. Fair play to him. So this could be the last time that we will be asking the Pope for money. We're going to get 116 gold. And while we're here, we might as well take a look at what anarchy is going on up in this direction. Well, Brazil continues on as king. His wife is in prison. His daughter is in prison. And has gained an eye patch. And it looks like he is in a bit of trouble. Minus 94 in this war, which has been going on now for 6 years. Our father always said he was good for a few bob. The Pope has given us 116. We've lost some piety. We have lost some opinion with him. I'm going to hold on to that money until the peasant rabble fires. So we're going to hold on, and then we're probably actually going to expand some of the buildings in Downpatrick for the first time since the rule of Uladh. We're going to look at maybe building some economic buildings, or at least increasing the economic buildings, or maybe even getting some artifacts. When I petitioned the Pope for money, I said to myself, I am keeping that money, we're going to expand some buildings, possibly even get the Duchy Building. And we have been made an offer that is very difficult to refuse. Somebody wants to make a throne for us. I am going to hold off. I am going to hold off on accepting that until the Peasant Rebellion fires, but then I'm probably actually going to go with this first of all before we start going for buildings. So we've just gotten 2 pop-ups. I was looking at the one about Earl Osmond. I'd swear we had him in our prisons. That he was captured in our father's war in England. That he was released, but he is after dying. He was slain in battle. So again, England is in utter anarchy. We're also seeing that our cousin, Anya, was released. And Anya was the daughter of the king of Croatia, who is now simply a count. Croatia has fallen to Kailach. How the hell did this happen? So Kailach inherited Croatia, while Brazil overthrew him, and then somebody fought to restore Kailach? I think this region has broken off as well. It hasn't. It's just showing up kind of weird for some reason. Maybe he's at war with it. Is it a... Yeah, it's a Liberty War. Do you know what? That is close enough. I don't know what to say about these people anymore. Lads, just... I don't know. We'll see you at Christmas. So, Croatia hasn't fallen, but maybe Ireland is about to fall. We have received an ultimatum. I don't know, I don't think so. I don't think this is the same guy that rebelled against our father. A very good martial figure. We're not going to grant him that tax deduction or reduction. We will tell him never. A peasant's lot is to serve their lord. We will rally the troops. Is this the guy? That's the guy. He's back. This is definitely the guy that revolted against our father. It's a conspiracy. Ulster is under siege. We will raise all forces in Breffni under the command of Leinseach. So we are raising our forces in our wife's territory. They've already lost 100 troops or so. So hopefully we should be in a position to take them out easily enough. The kicker is that it's costing almost 5 gold per turn. So the army has become quite expensive and we don't really have any way of generating revenue at the moment. Looks like it's going to be an easy enough battle. Our only worry is how much this will weaken us in relation to what Cain of De Hybert has in terms of forces. So unfortunately we only took Cosina, Ivonia hostage. Robert, I think it was Robert or Robertach, has gone off somewhere else, so we will negotiate his release and we will absolutely recruit him to serve as a knight. And if we look at the faction, the Independence faction, it's telling us that he's close to sending an ultimatum, but he has 900 troops less than us. They might be better equipped, or he might have more men-at-arms than we have. But I'd be confident enough that we would be able to prevent him from breaking off. So now that we have dealt with that peasant rebellion, let's build a nice, comfy chair for ourselves. When Amlib came to power, I remember thinking there was nothing that could get him stressed. Here is an interesting scenario, however. Somebody has drawn a map of the local plains for an unknown noblewoman, and we have the option to put them in our dungeon. It can sometimes be a beneficial way of recruiting interesting characters. His stats aren't great, his prowess isn't great, so it doesn't matter too much in this scenario. However, if we were to put him in the dungeon, we would gain stress because we are calm. So for now, we will become more vigilant. Our intrigue goes up and hostile scheme resistance goes up. Considering that our spymaster is still at low opinion, I think minus 30, that is something we would want to watch. I'm trying to sway him at the moment, and I do want to get out of that opinion deficit with him as quickly as possible. And we have actually just gotten our standing with our spymaster up to about plus 12. I'm going to keep the sway scheme going for a bit longer, maybe just to get it a bit higher, but we've also been told that a faction has been created against us. Dublin is basically pushing for independence, Norse Catholic populace. We would have been told by one of the previous rulers of Dublin that we should have considered learning the Norse language. Of course, Dublin was conquered. Oh, well, no, I won't say Dublin was conquered, but actually what is going on in Dublin at the moment? So, Orthacoin is the Duke of Meath, but Dublin is held by Orthacoin. I presume that's his brother, Carúil, Mac Cruhuar. So Cruhuar, of course, conquered Leinster. Looks like he took Dublin at some earlier point in time, and now Dublin has become the capital of the Duchy of Meath. And that is where our, I won't say our good friend. I'd like to be friends with Orthacoin someday. He has good diplomacy, and actually at the moment it does look like our Chancellor and uncle, I always click on the wrong one, our Chancellor and uncle, Earl Dúnadoch, he's put on his pyjamas, he has the ill trait, his health is poor, so if something were to happen to him, then Orthacoin would be a natural successor for that position. A position I think his father held actually at one stage. We've gotten another pop-up about an inspiration, but this one is an adventure inspiration. I haven't seen any of these yet, so I'm definitely going to accept it. They want to go off to Western Europe in search of an item. Now, I don't know if there are any items in the game specific to Ireland. I think some cultures have adventure inspirations where you can go off in search of a kind of a legendary item. I kind of mentioned it briefly in the last episode, but there is a legend that in the 600s, the only written copy of Táin Bó Cúailnge, the cattle raid of Cooley, in which Cuchulainn defends the pass of Ulster from the forces of Queen Maeve, that the only copy of this was traded to Spain. So that'd be an interesting adventure inspiration. Maybe a quest to go to the Vatican to try to retrieve the crown of Brian Boru, which Donnacha, his son, is believed to have taken with him only a year or two before the start of the game. So there's a couple of inspirations that you could have if that is a thing. We will sponsor this one anyway, and we will see what they're going to do first. They're going to go off to Western Europe. Do you remember when I said I wanted to save up money for some buildings? Our sister and friend, Banmead, stops us in the hall and tells us that she has basically messed up our chair. Here is our... She's not our antiquarian. She's building a throne for us at the moment. And Banmead went and gave her some ideas. They grow closer to forming a friendship. The artifact produced might be of a slightly lower quality. Thanks for that. Thanks. Now, this has reminded me. Here is our brother-in-law, Duke Gospatric's antiquarian. If we take a look at Duke Gospatric, we are in a position to negotiate an alliance with him, which we're going to do, even though he is currently in a war. I don't think it's started all that long. That's a couple of months ongoing. Prince Magnus of Scotland is attacking him in an attempt to overthrow him. So I'm definitely going to negotiate the alliance, and we might even see if we can actually get pulled into it, because keeping this guy in power is something that I would want to do. We've lost enough alliances at this stage. So our French Catholic adventurer, surely having heard of the alliance that was formed between House Dál Fiatach and House Carling. So she came to our court, and she wants to know, is there anything that we would like from the far-flung corners of Western Europe? And what I think we're going to go for is a tapestry or artwork that makes me wish I was there. She's basically going to bring back a print of one of the loading screens from CK3. So I was saying that I'd like to be called into that war, that I would like to help Gospatric, that I'm surprised that he hasn't called me in already. Yeah, I don't think he needs me. I don't think he needs me. Our spymaster comes to us with news that somebody is plotting to kill Eugenia Uí I don't know if I've complained about this in the past, but I was really hoping to keep that robust trait going. Not going to happen. But she is a friend of our mother's. So we're going to have to figure out who's behind that. The mother probably wouldn't be happy if her friend died. Unless the mother's behind it. So it looks like I was right. I'd say this adventurer has just gone off to a boot sale in France. Or maybe a local antique store that she knows about. She has been blockaded on the road by bandits. And we have an option that we will highly likely fail. An intrigue challenge. A prowess challenge. Looks like we're just going to have to pay them off with money. I wasn't sure what to do in this scenario. Here is our courtier. He's some member of the family, Lachlan. And I had him betrothed to the daughter of the Duchess of de Hybert, Alice, who has, quite recently, died under mysterious circumstances. Now, of course, she was overthrown by Cain, and we've lost a hybrid. However, we do have somebody with claims to the duchy itself and to a lordship there. And of course, if Cain was to rebel against us at some stage, and if we were to get him in our prisons, that would be quite useful. So I think we will send this proposal. I was worried what trouble our sister might have caused by interfering in the construction of the throne, but it doesn't look to have come to anything. My beneficiary, Brecta, gestures me over to an object covered in a fabric with a wide grin on her face, and she whips off the covers and reveals a masterwork throne prestige. Plus 0.15 per month, and court grandeur bonus plus 3. Not too shabby at all. This is lovely. It only makes sense to swap out the chair immediately. I have renamed it the Throne of Connacht in honour of my wife. That is a fancy looking chair. That's much more impressive than the one that was there beforehand, the kind of default one. Another thing I'm going to do is come to court grandeur. I think I'm actually going to put the lodgings up to spacious lodgings. It's going to drive the price up from 0.42 to 0.63 a month, so it might just still keep us over the 2 gold per month income, but it's going to help us with guests. There's going to be a bit of a court grandeur bonus. I'm hoping that we're going to be in a position to convince some people to join the court. You know I've been trying to get a poet with ages, so I'm hoping that this might contribute a bit to it. And here is Morica, pretty much the only viable Irish poet in the world. Gavron is still outside of Diplo range, and I think our lodging standards have gone up from plus 20 to plus 30, so once I'm done securing our Spymaster's loyalty, we might start trying to convince Morica that he would like to visit us. At the moment, he's having a grand old time in the court of King Sancho of Aragon, so we leave him there a while. A traveller claiming to be employed by my beneficiary, Tiburga, is brought before me carrying a message. He says she's fine, she's in good health, but she took a wrong turn and has ended up near Vass. And she does have the money to make it to Western Europe, but she could also spend some time around this region. She's closer to... Basically, she's just to the north of Croatia. So I have no idea how she ended up here. Then again, how did the Dál Fiatach end up here in the first place? We could say it's absurd, or we could give 60 quid. The artifact produced through the adventure's inspiration will be of a higher quality. Do you know what? The Pope is good for money. The Pope is good for money. Life is an adventure. But that's basically where they've ended up. Just to the north of Croatia, which again, I'm surprised, still hanging on in there and successfully defending against that Liberty War. Fair play to you. You always did show more promise than your brother. And here is the uprising, the popular uprising that we were waiting for. It's only now that I see the name of the leader, Magnus Le Loberson, or Le Lobor. This is, again, it's just a very recognizable name. Our great-grandfather tried to kidnap this child. So he is demanding that he be given independence. We can tell him, fine, I have no need for such quarrelsome subjects. We will lose a level of fame lose 20 dread, and he will get the Earldom of Dublin. You want freedom, you shall have it in money. I mean death, sorry, we've been giving out a lot of money to people. We are told that Dublin is under siege. Man has joined in an uprising, or in the uprising. Let's see if we can hit the Dublin forces first of all, before they bring in any allies. If we can deal with this ourselves without needing to bring in any of our alliances. So there they go, 1,400 troops. Are they going to get into the battle in time? They're not, but I think they're locked into place, which means they're going to be hitting us with a penalty. So we were able to rush our forces down from Breffni in time. And the Manx forces are sent packing, and Dublin is secure. So it was his wife who rules Man, and she came in to support him. Unfortunately, however, we cannot ransom him back to her. She won't take him, she won't pay for him, and she has the money. We don't have much of a choice but to just take a weak hook. So we will ransom him out. And speaking of weak hooks, we have gotten a lifestyle perk. And what I'm going to do is take golden obligations, which allows us to demand payment for hooks. I might take the vassal tax contributions next, but after that, we're pretty much just going to come and finish off the architect tree. Development growth in realm. Capital is definitely one that I want. Collect taxes effectiveness. I don't know, is that bugged? I've heard talks about that being bugged at the moment, so I'm not too pushed on the actual collect taxes task. I haven't been using it at all, but then we're going to, like I said, look at maybe getting this one and then none of the rest of them, because I don't think they're of any use to me. So yeah, just centralization, and then we might come back and finish off this one. A tactic we haven't used in some years, demanding payments for hooks. It feels good to be back. Here is our Granaunt. And I imagine what we're just going to do is guilt her into giving us some money. So we have a strong loyalty hook. She's good for the money. She's good for the money. I have sent my spy master off to Scotland to start gaining some secrets. And hopefully we should be in a position to make some money there. I've just seen there's a big heap of men wandering around Breffni. Arthur Coyne, what are you doing? So I thought it was Arthur Coyne being a devil trying to take Breffni off of my wife. What's actually happening is that a weakened Meath is being attacked by Ossory. And who's come in on either side? Ennis has come in defence of Arthur Coyne, and Breffni has come in on behalf of Ossory, and they are fighting to take Dublin. That is Arthur Coyne's territory itself. If they had gone for Leinster, it would have made a lot more sense. I would have easily, gladly let them take Leinster, and I would have actually conferred the title of Duchess upon Eilimir. Taking Dublin is just going to cause a hell of a lot of havoc. So I'm going to send a demand to see if we can bring that vassal war to an end. And no is the answer. I have the utmost respect for your wishes, but the die is already cast. I will see this war through to the end. Brickenna, that lunatic, has become a novice physician. We are told that our daughter and heir, Ovloch, sometimes lies and tests the boundaries. She has gained the charming trait, which is going to put her in line for either a diplomacy or an intrigue education. I think maybe intrigue. We'll think on that one for a while. The most important thing, however, is that we get her a brother. Ready the troops. We are going to war to bring the county of Luxembourg into the Kingdom of Ireland. Actually, no. Brecta, who made a lovely chair for us, is going to head off. I didn't really think about giving her a court position. I know there's the court positions that you can give to people who have had inspirations. We can either give her a year to press one of her claims. Nowhere... I don't think any of these places are in Scotland, are they? No, probably not. If they were in Scotland, I might think about it. So, yeah, may your journey be swift and safe. Thanks for the chair. Well, these are two very interesting pop-ups. First of all, King Stephen has lost a war against Bryce of Moray. I have to check him out in a second and see if we can form an alliance with him. I'm trying to think how he was related to our father. But Cain of De Hybert has come to pay us a visit, to pay homage to the glorious High King. He brings rich gifts worthy of our majesty. This is the first person to actually bring anything to me. 50 quid, show him in, absolutely. I'd show the devil in for 50 quid. Fair play to him, he's making the effort, and there's something to be said for that. Cain kneels in deference as attendants bring forth his gifts of coin and precious objects. The oath is taken, the scribes record his pledges to serve Kingdom of Ireland. Though the Duke has clearly practiced the Goidelic vows, he mispronounces several sections, humorously changing their meaning and leaving my courtiers stifling tithers. We could give out to him and cause him to lose prestige, or we could say, good effort, Cain. It's not an easy language, and you know what, in fairness, it's not. He will spend 75 prestige instead of 150. He won't lose any opinion of us, and we will gain 50 renown. Here is Caintigern, Nick Uladh. So here is our great-grandfather, Uladh. And then, who am I looking for? Here is her son, Uladh's grandson, Bryce of Moray. He's not closely enough related to us to accept an alliance, but he hasn't actually split off in this Liberty War either. Again, these Liberty Wars are kind of strange at the moment. My spy master is still wandering around the court looking for any juicy gossip that he can find. It's under attack from more things. Our Gospatrick is heavily winning in his war. Yeah, I don't think he'll be calling us in anytime soon. So Scotland is in a bit of upheaval. And speaking about upheaval, it does look as though the prior ruler of England was deposed. So he conquered as a claimant and then abdicated in favour of this guy. I'm not too sure what the relationship there was, but the guy who conquered England was a grandson of Harold Godwinson. And I presume this guy is somehow related to some of the Godwinsons somewhere. Oh no, he's probably related through... Again, it's all just anarchy in England at this stage. The High Queen is pregnant, and I thought we were just about to have a climactic battle between the forces of whatever these two alliances are. Ossory has marched on Dublin. I think there's going to be a victory here which will probably bring the war to an end, and that will be Arthurcoin deposed. I'm going to have to intervene there somehow. our spy master, who has now started calling himself an espionage bastard, has uncovered a secret held by Moraed Macula Christ. A secret that is so unbelievable, it will shock the very foundations of the Goidelic world, so he won't even tell us what it is. Macula Christ, son of the servant of Christ. So there's also Macula Isa, which would be son of the servant of Jesus. Unbelievable. As I near Daughter of Luck's chambers, I hear a horrifying scream, barely human and full of pain. I burst into the room only to find Ovluck collapsed in a heap on the floor, covered in blood. The hysterical physician is standing in the corner of the room, anxiously wringing his hands. I'm not too sure what was wrong with Ovluck, but she is now ill. She has got botched disease treatment, a severe health penalty. Brichine, our sorcerer physician, is 70. I can't imagine he will be in his position for too much longer. We might as well give him the chastised physician for 5 years, which will give him +1 learning. It will give him a bit of a prestige penalty as well. But yeah, that bit of an alliance is possibly in danger, especially as her fiancé has pneumonia. God, this is a sick looking couple. Oh, there he is. He's fine. Never mind. After all that excitement, we're finally in a position to actually demand some money from Moraed Macula Christ. So we're going to make a demand for 50 quid, which she has paid us. We will come to the barony of Dunpodrig, and we're going to go to the Duchy Building. I think it's important to get the Duchy Building up maybe as soon as possible. There's a couple that I was thinking of. Basically, they're all here. The tax offices, which will eventually get us up to a... what'll that do? 20% holding tax. We have to scroll all the ways down to the bottom again. The next one would be the leisure palaces, which would give us monthly prestige and stress loss, hostile scheme chances. I think what we will go for is the royal reserves. It's going to give development growth, popular opinion, and a small bit of a tax increase, eventually reaching 1.4 per month and giving us solid dev growth across the duchy. So we will begin the construction of royal reserves in Downpatrick. At the start of this episode, I thought that our Chancellor, Donadach, wouldn't have too many years left in him, and that Orthacoin would be succeeding him. Instead, it looks like Orthacoin is going to lose Dublin, and Donadach is doing fantastic work. He is after impressing the King of Scotland. We can see another battle has broken out here. And that is another crushing blow for Orthacoin's forces. I can't imagine. They're at -62, so I can't imagine there's anything that's going to be able to stop Dublin from defeating them. I think some of his allies, Orthacoin's allies, are actually beginning to siege down Leinster. And one daughter has become sick, and our wife gives us another daughter. Try to hide the disappointment, Amleeb. Try to hide the disappointment. Should Ovluck not recover from that botched treatment by Brichine, we could be seeing Tuatha becoming the new ruler. So I think the game had generated the name Suapsuk? Not a name I've heard of before. So we will go with Tuatha. May you grow to be strong and wise, my daughter. Well now. With the first wave of fever and vomiting, I desperately hoped it was nothing worse than sweating sickness, and I did get a little better. Arose from my bed, returned to my duties. For a week all was well, until I noticed the first red spots in my mouth. Indeed, these lesions are a sure sign of smallpox, very dangerous if left untreated. Was it the last episode I said that we were going to have a long reign with Uí Néill? I think he is dying. He is indeed. I think we learnt our lesson by going with do no more than is necessary when Seachnasach, so Uí Néill's half-brother, was dying of cancer. Brichinna has already reduced one of our children to a bleeding mass of flesh. It is too late for caution, Brichinna. Do your best. I could not believe my eyes when Brichinna pulled a severed hand from his satchel. The black spots on its fingers sent chills down my spine, and I demanded to know where he got it from. Oh, these sorcerers, they have their ways. They have an online store. I think you have to have like a sorcerer membership card to get in there. He only hushed me and proceeded to rub the severed hand against my chest. Ew. The treatment was almost as unpleasant as my symptoms, yet it seems to have been effective. While I am not fully cured, I feel much better. I will live to see another day. This is you. Unfortunately. High King Uí Néill Mac Cronon. Gout-ridden, which gives him a severe health penalty, and smallpox, which gives him a critical health penalty. And the succession is not exactly secure. We have 2 daughters, the eldest of which is betrothed to a member of the Carling dynasty. So everything has pretty much fallen apart in the last couple of minutes. We need to get Uí Néill to A, survive, and B, recover, and C, have sons. Or we need at least some branch of the family, preferably distant, to produce sons, and that is not happening at the moment. Everything is up in the air. This war is causing a bit of anarchy. Dublin is going to fall in the next few days. And at the moment, with the High King recovering from smallpox, there is very little that he can do to try and restore stability to the kingdom. Thank you for joining me in this episode, and I hope Uí Néill doesn't die in the next one.